Hello everybody, welcome back to Leading Our Runway. Hope you've had a fantastic weekend, fantastic week. It's a brand new week with a brand new guest. Today I'm joined by the incredible Bec Cameron. Bec is a woman's health and fitness coach, the host of the podcast Built for More. Please go and press follow, it's fascinating. And someone who is deeply passionate about helping women reconnect with their strength, confidence and overall well-being. In the first part today, Bec opens up about what confidence really means and why true confidence is not something we chase outside of ourselves, but something we build from within. We talk about women's health, holistic well-being, hormones, movement, nutrition, sleep, and the power of understanding your body instead of fighting against it. This is a conversation full of honesty, wisdom, and real empowerment. So please settle in and let's walk our own way with Bec Cameron. If you're enjoying Leading Our Own Way though, please take a moment to press follow on this platform. Subscribe and leave a 5-star review. It may seem like a small action, but it makes a huge difference. Every follow, every review and every share helps this show reach more and more people across Australia and around the world. And the beautiful thing is, when you do that, this conversation might just reach someone who truly needs it today. Someone who needs hope, someone who needs encouragement, and someone who needs a reminder that they are not alone. So please press the follow, share where possible, because Bec's journey will go deep into her own personal journey too, suffering with anxiety. She's a fitness coach and been a huge bodybuilder, and huge in the sense of the titles that she's won. Absolutely incredible of how vulnerable she has been today. Thanks, Bec, and here's Bec and myself for part 1. Part 2 will drop on Wednesday. See you then. In a second, here's Bec. Welcome to Leading Our Own Way. I'm your host, Andrew White, and this is the podcast that unveils captivating narratives of resilience and personal triumph. This podcast is for anyone seeking inspiration and insights on overcoming life's challenges. Follow and subscribe, and then we can lead together forever. Before we dive in, I want to give a big, massive shout out to our now new proud sponsor, Eshu Skincare, a brand that truly aligns with Leading Our Own Way. This Australian-born company is dedicated to keeping skincare simple, effective, and straightforward. They've made waves in the US, even landed in Macy's and over 300 stores, and now they're back with a renewed focus on healthy skin and real results. If you want authentic skincare that fits your lifestyle, check them out in the show notes. Thanks to Eshu Skincare for supporting real stories and mental fitness on Leading Our Own Way. And if you're interested in sponsoring like Eshu Skincare, drop us a message. We'd love to connect. Bec Cameron, what's a question you wish people would ask you, but they never do?
I wish people would ask me, where does confidence truly come from?
Ooh, that's good. I like talking about confidence. Where do you think confidence truly comes from then?
I think it's a lot more internal than people realize. I think people think when it comes to confidence that they need to focus on changing their external body, when it's actually rewiring on the inside that makes the biggest difference.
Yeah. Because I believe confidence is really understanding the belief within yourself, holding yourself in high regard, but still being able to see the flaws within yourself.
100%. And I think it's about self-trust and knowing that you can show up for yourself and keep the promises that you make to yourself above anything else.
So where in your life journey then, why was confidence part of that answer to that particular question for you personally?
Yeah, so when I was growing up, I had a lot of body image struggles like a lot of women face when they're growing up in their teens, in their early 20s. And I think I always thought that becoming confident was about getting leaner and having the body that I wanted, and that would give me true confidence. But it was never about that. And the things that really shaped my confidence was going through challenges, whether it was putting myself through a fitness comp or building and growing a business. It was about throwing myself in the deep end of something and having to do the work and show up no matter what was going on externally. And that process of having to continue to show up when things got hard and working through the struggles is what made me realize I'm capable of anything. And that's what built my confidence more than any external shift I ever made in my body.
Yeah, beautiful. And I know we're going to get deep into that today, Beck. And I love your journey. If there was anyone who's listening today, who are the type of people you're hoping to reach?
I am hoping to reach women in particular. I do work in the space of coaching women specifically, and I think that a big passion of mine and the reason why I do what I do is because I want to help women to learn to uncover their own confidence. So that's who I would want to reach today.
Love it. Love it. And it perfectly ties in with everything that you're doing in the current moment. But before we get into it, thanks for joining me, Miss Bec Cameron. It's a beautiful Australian morning here in Australia. Where tell us a little bit about where you're from and where you currently are, because you're not too far from me, I believe. Is that right?
Yeah, so I'm Melbourne born and bred. I did move to Queensland for a little bit, but I ended up coming back to Melbourne because home is where the heart is.
Well, well, I guess it is, but I'm still in Australia, and I'm from
Yeah.
Manchester, England. But
Yeah.
I think I stayed for the weather, even though you've come from Queensland. The Queensland weather's so much better than Victorian weather to live, isn't it? Permanently, don't you agree?
100%. Yes, there's pros and cons of everything. The weather's definitely better in Queensland, but I really love my network and community that I've built in Melbourne. And I think I really missed that when I moved to Queensland and had to kind of restart that. I mean, I'm sure you've had that experience moving from the UK, but yeah, the community really pulled me back. I missed it.
Yeah. How long have you been back now?
Probably about 18 months now.
All right, so not too long.
Hmm.
And how long were you up there for?
About 2 years.
Oh yeah, nice, nice. Well, thanks for joining me on my journey. It's an honor to have you on the show, Leading Our Own Way. It means the world to me because it's just started off with my own mental health journey and where I was going, and I've always been a talker. I always wanted to share my journey, and but it's not about me. It's just blown up into this beautiful journey where I get to share all these incredible people. So once again, thank you. It means the absolute world to me that you're here with me today.
No, thank you. I'm excited.
Beautiful. Well, the title, as you know, is called Leading Our Own Way. And I just think it's a beautiful point to start with of how the guest is leading their own way. Before we get into the nitty gritty of how we got there, I really love the people to see how you got there. So we'll start off with how you're leading your own way, and then we'll get into how you got there and what really took that grit and, like you say, uncovering that confidence to get where you're going. So yeah, let's start with the podcast, Built for More. It's always intimidating when I interview other podcasters. I always feel like, oh, am I getting this right? Tell us about your podcast. It's a relatively new journey, isn't it? Tell us a little. Let's go for it. Tell us about your podcast. Let's get it out there to the people.
Yeah, amazing. Well, don't be intimidated because I'm definitely fresh into the space. So I'm sure I can learn a lot from you. But basically, I have just launched my own podcast. It's called Built for More. And the concept behind it was, as a health and fitness coach, I've always found that I end up having much deeper conversations with my clients. So going very beyond just their training and their nutrition and going into more of the what's going on in their external life and their headspace and creating that true life transformation for people. And I wanted a platform where I could really dive a lot deeper into those topics because like I said at the start of this podcast, I truly believe that, people come to me to unlock their confidence because they think it's an external thing, but it's not just about the external, it's about the internal too. So it just gives me a space to really elaborate on that and dive deeper into that. I have done a podcast before with a friend. We did a co-hosting situation, but I just found that we didn't always want to talk about the same things, and I really wanted to have that freedom to just talk about whatever I want to talk about, even if it didn't necessarily resonate with the other person. So I was like, I just have to take the leap and do this myself.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally get that. I had a few opportunities to do it with other people, and that crossed my mind that would happen. So I was like, yeah, no, I don't know about that. So yeah, I completely get you. With are you going to be having guests on, like experts as well, or is it one person frame? Is it yourself just talking about the topics you want to talk about, or you're getting people on?
Yeah, it's a little bit of a hybrid. So I'm definitely going to be interviewing guests, which I look forward to. And I've got one of the other coaches on my team. She will be doing some co-hosted episodes with me and then some solo stuff, which honestly, have you ever recorded a solo podcast or just guest interviews?
No, yeah. So no, I have, and it's definitely
Yeah,
very, very different. My
it's
first
so different.
opening one. Yeah, it's always the first one I did like, hello, hello, is anybody out there? And that was right. If you go to Spotify, right at the bottom. And then I think I did like an extra little mini one. And then my 100th one episode that went out last week, it was my 100th episode. It was the first part was just me answering questions that people had posed to me about the journey of the podcast, why I set it up. I didn't go into the depths of the journey because that one back down at the bottom was all about that. But yeah, through juggling life and stuff like that. And then when I was going through my mental health journey, part 2 was where I brought in somebody, the only guy outside of this house that saw me going through my darkness. So I did have a guest come on, but the first half was just solely me, and talking just to the camera on its own felt really weird.
It's so weird. And I made the great decision of when I booked the studio to start things, because I've been using a studio, I was like, I'll record 3 solo episodes, really make the most of my time. I really threw myself in the deep end there because it was a lot. But I think it's one of those things like practice makes perfect, right? You get better and better at it, figure out the best system that works for you.
Well, it looks great. The reels, I was very impressed for the first reel. I'm not even doing reels like that where I'm on the studio, and I've been doing it for 2 years. So yours is absolutely looking smick, by the way. So good on you.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that.
So everybody, go and press in the show notes. Go and follow Built for more. Let's get it out there. Love it. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing outside of the podcast then, and everything else that you do within your business and your daily life. What does your day look like?
Yeah. So I'm a women's health and fitness coach. I specialize in a few different areas of female transformation. So I have competed in bodybuilding over a period of 5 seasons from about 2015 to 2022. So I do coach women to compete in bodybuilding, but I also help women that have more complex hormonal health conditions. And I guess my underlying passion is helping women achieve the physical result that they want while also looking after and preserving their hormonal health along the way, looking at factors like stress management, digestive health, really having that holistic approach. So I work with a lot of women that have issues with their menstrual cycle or PCOS, endometriosis, things like that. So it's very much a holistic space where we look beyond just training and nutrition. So that's one element of what I do. And then I also am a business mentor specifically for fitness coaches. So being in the industry myself for 12 years now, I've been running my business. So it was just kind of a natural evolution for me. When I first started in the PT space, I was actually at uni studying business with a major in marketing and law. So it's kind of a full circle moment where I am now integrating a lot of like the theory that I learned at uni with my industry experience into then helping others build their own fitness business too.
Yeah, nice. And as some of your clients become quite successful in that space?
Yeah, had some incredible results. And I think it really just proves the power of when you're starting a business, and this is probably something a lot of people struggle with, is like they have the passion for coaching and helping people, and they've done their Cert 4 in fitness or whatever's required in their specific industry, but then no one's taught them how to run a business. And I think in my own experience, I probably underestimated and didn't even realize how much what I had learned about business and marketing had made me so much more savvy when I started my own business journey. And that's probably a large contributor as to why I was able to make it successful and get momentum so quickly. So when people come to me for support in that space, it's like they're getting access to like proven systems and strategy that work if they just implement, right? So I think it makes such a big difference than just trying to wing it and see how you go along the way. Like if you want to fast track your results, it's like anything. You always like invest in someone that has done the thing before you, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Bec, I might need you because by the time this goes out, I went and spoke in. I've not done it yet, but I'll speak like I have done it. But I'm going speaking in Tasmania for a business, and the guy asked for an invoice. I was like, I've been in education for 18 years. I was like, oh, what do I put on an invoice?
Yeah.
So
And
I
you
feel
know
like
what?
I've got
It's
to go
often
to
done
business
wrong.
school. Say again, sorry.
It's often done wrong. There are things you need on the invoice, like you've got to have your ABN and things like that. So you've got to make sure you do it right.
I knew that, and I've got that. I've had an ABN
Good.
since before I started this, so I'm all right with that. But yeah, everything. I was like, oh, I had to Google what to put in an invoice. It's embarrassing, but there you go. But I feel like I should go to business school. And then I thought to myself, what you just contradicted me on in my head. I was like, no, I'll just wing it. I'll be fine. But maybe I don't wing it.
Yeah, it's one of
Going
those
back,
things like gets you there faster if you don't wing it, right?
yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So I'm getting. So going back to your clients and back to the women, I find this very interesting because I do a lot of reading around the brain and human physiology, but something I've not really dug too deep into is the hormonal side. But every podcast that I listen to, it's coming up constantly, when it comes to fasting or food or ice baths or fitness regimes, when it comes to the hormonal level, I'm not I'm not too knowledgeable on it, but I'm learning. And I think it is really important. What are some of the, you mentioned a few things, menstrual cycles. What was the other one? How do you say it? PCSO, is it?
PCOS.
Oh God, I was so lost. Yeah.
Almost.
Talk to us a little bit about those type of clients and anyone who's listening, going through that. What kind of knowledge and advice can we give to them? Because I want to learn, because this is my own little secret diary. Yeah. Can you give me some scenarios on that, please?
Yeah, so I think what women need to understand is our hormones are so much more sensitive than that of men. And we also operate on like a monthly cycle. So things look very different, whereas men operate on more of a daily cycle when it comes to their hormones. Now, because we are so sensitive, our hormonal system is so sensitive to stress and other factors, it means that a lot of women nowadays, and I do think the evolution of society and the world we live in now, where a lot of us are highly stressed, a lot of us are overstimulated, a lot of us are burnt out. All of these things actually can have negative health consequences, especially on our hormones and digestive systems and things like that. So a lot of the time when women are wanting to get a result with their body, they might feel like they're pushing things uphill, essentially, because of those factors not being in alignment. And this can cause things like missing menstrual cycles or delayed or irregular. So a lot of those issues, like women will come to me for support in getting that back on track, because it is one of our vital signs, essentially, as a woman that indicates whether we're healthy or not. So as soon as we start to see dysregulation in the menstrual cycle, like that is a warning light on the dashboard that something is wrong, and it should never be overlooked. Like, we need to figure out, okay, why is this happening? Is it happening at a brain level? Is it happening more at an actual hormonal level due to insufficiencies in different nutrients or calorie intake and energy availability as a whole? There's so many different things. I could speak about this for hours on end that go into it. Yeah. And so I guess for me, I help women draw the dots between their symptoms and like their lifestyle and what's actually happening. So where these shutdowns are occurring for them, so that then we can start fixing things from the root cause. And that
agreed.
It's often missed, I think, in Western medicine as well, because it's like if you go to the doctor with these issues, they only really have pharmaceuticals in their toolbox. They're like, oh, go on the pill. What? That's more of a band-aid. It doesn't actually fix anything, just makes you have a fake bleed every month. So yeah, I think there's a lot that we still need to improve as a society in awareness around these things. And I think we've made a lot of progress compared to like when I first started in this industry, but it's something that I still really want more people to start understanding.
I couldn't agree with you anymore. And I'm glad it's people like you that I love having on a podcast where we can get into deep stuff like that. And I know it's about your journey. Sometimes we do go off on a bit of a tangent. But have you ever read the book Outlive by Peter Attia? He talks about...
No, I haven't, but I do know the book, yeah.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And he really talks about health span versus lifespan. And the modern medicine and the health system is really designed to, help us with our lifespan, but it should be about health span. If we're destined to die at 80, let's say, modern medicine suggests we're going to keep you alive from 70 on the meds. But whereas health span is, if you're going to destined to die 80, you're going to live a healthy 80 years, opposed to somebody trying to keep you alive through meds for the last 10 years of your life. And it's very, very interesting, because you're right. When I was depressed all they wanted to do was give me antidepressants. I never took them, and I'm not shaming anyone that did take them, but I decided for me not to take them. I really wanted to get to the root, but I needed to see that packet to make me understand, actually, I need to go to the root of where I'm going wrong, where my mental health is. The brain hasn't there's not an added wrinkle change in the structure of our brain in 200,000 years. Our genotype hasn't changed in 45,000 years, but everything outside of that has dramatically changed. Where we look at food, we're trying to conquer sleep now with, work patterns, people working through the nights, which is obviously changing their lifespan as well, and probably the circadian rhythms, which affects the hormones and everything like that. I feel like the root of everything, if we want to protect our health, we have to go as deep as the mitochondrial level, that where that power pack really comes from, that energy the ATP releases from. Do you ever get that deep about mitochondria? I'm not an expert or anything, but I love reading about the mitochondria. Is that something that you have ever dug into as well?
Oh, yeah, I do. And through my studies, like obviously the understanding of the mitochondria is important. I think it's probably discussed a little bit more in terms of, yeah, just basic health and like aerobic fitness, more so than this type of fitness that I necessarily coach in most of the time. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, it's very much in connection with the lives that we live in, the society we're exposed to now, and like the food quality and things. Like people don't realize the impact that actually has on like the internal happenings in our cell and like our DNA and our mitochondria and like oxidative damage and things like that.
Yeah.
So I do believe if we're just looking at a health improvement perspective and a longevity perspective, that does need to be considered.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you, I know, I'm guessing with what you do, do you have a tight, I know you do in terms of connection and at night switching off, and I completely respect and understand that, and I think everybody should do that. But talk to us a little bit about morning routines. Tend to come up on this podcast quite a lot, pretty much most episodes. But I'm guessing it's more than a morning routine for you. What is your discipline? What is your plan of action to face the day and keep your health healthy long term? Just taking a very quick break to thank our sponsor, SU Skincare. If you haven't heard of them, SU Skincare started right here in Australia, using Australian ingredients to make skincare straightforward and accessible, especially for men who want results without the fuss. Their journey took them all the way to the US, where they were featured in Macy's and over 300 stores. Now they're back with a fresh approach, focusing on healthy skin and authenticity for everyone. I'm proud to have SU Skincare as a sponsor on Leading Our Own Way. See the show notes for their website and to see how you can keep your skin healthy and confident. And if you're interested in sponsoring like SU Skincare, drop us a message. We'd love to hear from you. Now, right back to the episode.
Yeah, 100%. So I have been very much focused on being as natural as possible and kind of eating as close to the land as possible for quite a long time now. I know that I switched little things in my life. Like when I was probably 16, I stopped wearing deodorant because it had aluminium in it. So I've been quite aware of this from a very young age. Now they have great natural deodorants. Back then, I just wore nothing because it was just, there was no good options out there. The natural ones were awful. So I have progressed a lot in that space as well, cutting out, toxin exposure as much as I can, like getting a higher quality air fryer, non-toxic pans, cleaning products, things like that. I always try to put mostly whole foods in my body, but I still don't demonize other foods. Like I think there's still a place for having a sweet treat if you want one, like having something that is more processed. I think it's also unhealthy to demonize that. And I think that anything can be part of a balanced diet. It's not about cutting out absolutely everything bad because we can't do that, right? So it's about controlling the exposure. And I think as well as that, controlling our stress and our sleep is huge for our health. So yes, you're right. I'm very big on my bedtime routine. And I think that we had that conversation around the timing of the podcast. And I was like, I can't do that late. That's my bed routine time.
I love it.
But yeah, I'm a little more passionate about the pre-bed routine compared to the morning routine because I think that's what sets you up for that really good sleep. So I'm very much like got to be off my phone and technology. I'm doing my wind down for like 45, 60 minutes before bed. And then morning routine, I like to kind of shift that a little bit day to day, depending on what I'm feeling, whether that is, getting up and training first thing in the morning always sets me up for a good day. But if my body is not in the state to train, like if I can kind of tell that, I will listen to my body. I'll do something gentler, like walk the dog in the morning. So it does vary a little bit. And I think over time, like when I was bodybuilding, I didn't have the opportunity to listen to my body. It was get it done regardless because you have a result you need to achieve. Whereas now, because I don't have the pressure of bodybuilding, I still ensure that I train the certain amount of times per week, but I will be a little bit more malleable in the sense of, okay, I'm feeling like my body needs deep rest today. I'm going to allow it to rest and I'm going to move that session to another day. So I have a bit more of an intuitive approach nowadays.
Yeah. I look at the three things of sleep, exercise. I'll call it movement for those who are listening, struggling with exercise, just even getting out and walking. So let's say movement, because movement is super, super important. So sleep, movement, and food. If you had to put them in order of importance, and now I know they're all important, don't get me wrong, and they all intertwine, but if you could put them into order as somebody to start off with, because so when I was going through my struggles and trying to navigate myself, I actually looked at sleep first. I started to read the book Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker, and then I came out of that book because I was starting to see words that I didn't understand about the brain. So I was like, I need to go and read about the brain before I read the next chapter on this. So all my books here are like puzzles. I've gone back and forth just purely because of vocab and knowledge and lack of. So I wanted to learn. But I started with sleep. If you could put them in order, what would you do?
This is such a hard question because they are so all equally important, but
Yeah.
I am actually going to put sleep first. And the reason I put sleep first is because I think it has a big flow on effect to both our nutrition and our movement. Because if you're not sleeping well, then we actually have dysregulation in our hunger hormones. So it increases our hunger and our cravings, makes it harder to make good food choices. And then obviously, if you're not sleeping well, you probably can't be bothered going and moving and exercising. So I think if I was to put one first, it would have to be sleep.
Oh, I completely agree. I'm so glad you said it because I say the exact same thing. It's like you're in my head. I always say to people to put it in perspective. I love this. I heard this on a podcast, but think about the importance of sleep for a second. And I'm going to, if you think about it, right? Sleep, there's three things innately we want to do as humans, but we can't do them when we're sleeping. That is eat, defend ourselves, and reproduce. They're the three things we all want to do, but we can't do them when we're sleeping. Yet the brain hasn't evolutionized sleep out of its repertoire in the 4 million years the physiology's been around, or however long it's been. That when you look at it like that, it just puts it on that pedestal, doesn't it? I think.
Yeah, 100%. It is the foundation of everything else, really.
Everything. And I say this when I'm teaching kids and I can see kids on devices till gone midnight, and you're wondering why they're not sitting and learning in the classroom every single day. It's because of sleep. We can talk about food because I can see the lunchboxes. They're absolutely terrible. They're not outside because they want to be inside on devices. No one gets outside anymore. So I just think it's the problem of human connection is getting worse and worse because of those elements of, look at your clients. You said before, are they all coming in? Is that topic of stress and fear your main observation, would you say?
Yeah, it's very, very common. Stress and poor sleep is huge. And
Yeah.
I think that is the foundation that you have to kind of get in check before the physical result will follow, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I did. I mean, it worked for me. With the summer holidays, I kind of went off whack a little bit. You start to eat a little bit more sugary stuff because the kids are having a treat, a birthday party. And I'm like, it kills me. So I've just set up my water plunge outside. It's going to get cooler now, so I'm going to be back plunging. I had a cold shower this morning. Anyway, I get passionate about this, but this is about you. Um, we could go off and have a whole opposite podcast episode about that stuff. Your You just mentioned before about the bodybuilding and how disciplined. Just talk a little bit about that journey, part of your life as well.
Yeah, so bodybuilding, I guess I always grew up as an athlete. So I played volleyball at a pretty high level when I was growing up. So I was always very active. And then as I kind of stepped into the personal training space in the fitness industry, it was hard to get to my trainings for my chosen sport because there are times that I would be training clients. So I had only just started to see little bits about bodybuilding come out on social media. It wasn't really a big thing back then when I started. And I was like, yep, I want to look like that. That's body goals basically, which is not a healthy motivation to compete, just by the way. But
Yeah.
that was my initial motivation. I was like, great, I want to look like that. I'm going to train for this now. So it was essentially the way that I made the gym my sport. And I've always been a very competitive person. So it was a great way to be able to channel that into something new. And so, yeah, I competed between 2015 and 2022 across the ICN and IFBB in the bikini category and had a great and successful career in bodybuilding. I think bodybuilding for me was such an incredibly transformative personal development journey. And I always say that about the sport. It's one of the best personal development journeys that you can go on because you kind of have to do the opposite of listen to your body in the sense that you have to eat when you're already full, when you're trying to grow muscle, and then you have to not eat when you're hungry, when you're trying to prepare for the stage. So it really does require a lot of discipline, even just getting into the gym when, you are in a depleted state and it's hard. You have to learn to show up regardless of everything else. And I do think that that's really powerful. I also want to say I think it really helped me with my relationship with food and that it taught me the benefit of eating more food to actually like build the shape that I wanted. Whereas prior to that, I was always stuck in that trap of always like under eating and overdoing cardio. So I think a lot of people will say, oh, bodybuilding's not really very good for your relationship with food. It's pretty extreme. And while, yes, it is, the physique you put on stage is not something sustainable and the goal should never be to sustain that. It did actually really help me heal that relationship with food for me personally.
Yeah. So what's your aim now in terms of, I know you've left that part of your life, but obviously you still heavily work in it every single day. You must have a personal, well, not must, but I'm assuming you have a personal goal. How do you want to have your body now then versus what you wanted your body to look like then?
Yeah, so I officially retired after the 2022 season, although I do get the itch sometimes to do it again. So we'll see. Never say never. But
Oh,
for,
watch this
yeah,
space.
yeah. For me right now, it's actually more about just maintaining a body that I feel good and confident in year round. I'm very much focused on being in a position where I feel my best day to day, both in terms of body confidence, but also in terms of cognitive function. I'm definitely in a phase where I'm more focused on, my clients competing and my business and making sure that I can show up every day without being depleted and feeling brain fog. So my approach to fitness now is a bit more balanced. I still get in the gym and train hard in the weights room, and my goal is to preserve and build muscle tissue, but then I also incorporate like a balance of cardiovascular health. So I'm doing like some running, which I was never doing in my bodybuilding era, because that could take away from the goal of bodybuilding. So now it's just a bit more balanced and overall like health and longevity based approach.
Yeah. For the everyday person who doesn't necessarily work in fitness or they're even aware of the importance of lifting and really putting the muscle under good stress for longevity reasons, how important is it? Tell the people who are listening, tell them how important it is to just do some strength work, because we lose a percentage, don't we, of muscle mass every 10 years. I've forgotten the percentage. Is it like 5%, 15% every 10 years or something?
Yeah, I don't have the exact percentage for you, but yeah, as we get older, we lose muscle mass and we also lose bone density, especially women going through that like perimenopause phase. As our estrogen declines, that has a massive impact on our bone density. So it is really important for everyone, whether you're male or female, to be lifting weights because it is going to help us prevent injury as we age, protect our bone density, and having lean muscle tissue on our body is also highly metabolic. And basically what that means is that it burns more calories just by being on our body. So if we are lifting weights, we have some lean muscle tissue, then we essentially just burn more energy throughout the day. So as a weight management strategy, it's also really powerful. Like resistance training should be in everyone's routine. You don't have to do it 6 times a week. Even 3 times a week is enough just from a health perspective. But I think a lot of people think, oh, I need to manage my weight, I'm going to go do cardio, when yes, cardio is good for our cardiovascular health, but weight training is such an important foundation for everyone. Like everybody should be doing at least some weight training.
Yeah, agreed. Absolutely. It's fascinating with the losing, the loss of weight scenario and people running to lose weight. But if you're living with what you said before, stress every single day, you could run till the cows go home. But if you're still stressed, it's still going to sit, all that cortisol is still going to sit and load itself in that belly area, isn't it? It's such a huge problem. Stress. I got rid of stress by leaving the education system, and I've not, my worst stress now is, I don't know, doing yard duty when I don't want to, or driving for 45 minutes. I'm the happiest, or should I say, the most content I've ever been because I've got rid of stress, huge stress. You still have, got rid of chronic stress. You still have a bit of acute stress here and there if somebody upsets you, or my kid is annoying the hell out of me. That's stress, but it's not the same stress. It's bizarre. Anyway, yeah, I could talk about that all day. Have you ever struggled with fatigue, chronic fatigue, anything like that mentally through that journey of that discipline that you had to put your mind and body through constantly every day?
Yeah, so I have had my own journey with chronic stress and adrenal fatigue. So basically, what that looked like, I think I've always kind of been the person that bites off a little bit more than they can chew. I was always, when I first started uh, working, I was working full time while I was also at uni full time. I was playing sport. Like I've always just had a lot on my plate. And I think I got to a point in my life. I also struggled with insomnia a lot of my life. So that also played a role, that my sleep was very insufficient.
Mm.
And over time, I started my PT business. I was working really long hours in the gym there. I was competing in bodybuilding, and I did a couple of seasons, got through that completely fine. And then it was when I was going into my third season of bodybuilding around 2017. I was still struggling with sleep a bit, and I was in a pretty toxic relationship at that point in my life. And that was when all of that chronic stress built up. And that's when it really hit me. So, just like you said, we can deal with acute stress. Acute stress is not an issue. It's going to happen. We're going to have periods of stress. It's when it's that prolonged and ever present stress that we essentially operate in this high cortisol state, that our body just can't keep up with that cortisol production. And if anyone listening doesn't know what cortisol is, it is essentially a stress hormone that is released when we're stressed. So when we're in that high cortisol state, we get to the point that our body can't keep up with those cortisol demands anymore. And then we can actually go into the opposite, where we become insufficient at producing enough cortisol. And that's when we really hit fatigue. That's when it's hard to get out of bed in the morning, because cortisol, we actually need it. It helps us wake up in the morning. So we have a natural cortisol curve throughout the day that comes up in the morning, helps us wake up, and then it comes back down. So when we can't produce it, it's really hard to get out of bed. It's really hard to lift weights. It's really hard to have any sort of energy, any sort of libido. Like there's so many cascade effects of that. And that's where I got to. I was diagnosed with moderate adrenal insufficiency. So kind of one step before an official chronic fatigue diagnosis. And yeah, that was a really hard part of my life in terms of my mental health, because my whole identity was wrapped up in, I do it all. Like I work hard, I train hard, I do all of these things, and then I just couldn't do anything, no matter how hard I tried.
Yeah, wow. So if I was your friend back then through that time, what would I have seen in Bec? How would you have come across? How would you have appeared? Would you just look normal and happy putting that mask on? Or would I have seen it, in your skin, in your hair, whatever it may have been, or your body language? What would have I seen?
Yeah, I would say I was really flat. I wasn't my usual bubbly and energetic self. And yeah, I felt pretty low. I definitely would have looked tired, some big bags under my eyes because my sleep was no good as well. And yeah, even skin health, like when you're in that position, you don't glow like you usually do. Like you look depleted, I suppose, is the best way to describe it. So yeah, I definitely wasn't my best self at that time.
It's interesting. Since I've started the journey of reading 4 years ago, I've been doing the podcast for 2 years, and I get to see myself very much. So I try and do my own self-reflection. I feel like when I see people or myself, I can see if I'm stressed. I can see the change in body language. I can see, in a way, what's going on in someone's life just by how they're appearing. Can't always judge, can't always be 100% correct, absolutely. But typically speaking, I can sense where they're at mentally. And when I'm seeing myself on a timeline of like the videos from that I was filming at December and January are coming out now, and I was not eating the best because you've got holidays and you've got the treats and all of that. So now I can see it in my face a little bit thingy, and even right now I feel like I've carried it on. So when this comes out in a few months' time, I'll feel like, but when I'm back to doing, my really cold plunges and sleeping well and lifting in the morning and eating clean and getting my fatty acids and my omega-3s and eating my fish every day and stuff, I really can see a difference in myself when I editing my videos. It's bizarre. It's like my own little secret diary, but a visual one. It's weird. If
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? If I could ask you the question of your mental health state at that point. I think I mentioned it on the before we started recording, on a 0 being rock bottom back then, and you meant and contentment being 10. Where would you have sat on that line?
I feel like I would have sat around a 3. I don't think I hit rock bottom, and I do think that I've always had a pretty resilient mindset, in the sense that even when I was in the depths of that, I knew it wouldn't be forever, and I was just like, I just have to keep swimming. Like, I will get through this. I don't know when, but I know that I'm doing the work, and I know that I will get through it.
Yeah, great. I think that's probably why you didn't go below that 3, because you knew this isn't going to last forever. And I think that's where the problem lies with most people who do go rock bottom, below the 3, let's say. They don't see that it's going to come out. And I think that's mainly probably why this podcast exists, because we've got to let them know there's choices. There's always a way out. Always, always. And even when you're at rock bottom, there's always a hammer we can knock away at that rock and make it even deeper, right? So rock bottom's never really rock bottom until you're there and you go, actually, you're going lower here. We can chip away at that rock, can't we? The same question goes to now then, your present time, the Bec that I'm speaking to now. Where would you sit on that mental health line?
Oh, I'm going to say 9. I reckon
Nice.
I'm pretty close to the top now, but I think, we all have our little challenges and struggles.
Yeah, I think the healthy one is 8 and 9, isn't it? Because that way we can keep striving for more. We can keep searching for what we not searching. We might understand our purpose, but enhance it. Let's say, yeah, I love that. Anxiety. We discussed anxiety in our pre-chat a little bit. I never really knew what anxiety was till I hit 32. It was after my journey of going through what I went through, and even ongoing. Really, I really suffered with a lot of anxiety, and I used to look at people with anxiety. It's weak. Obviously, I learned heavily that's not the case. That was obviously just my immatureness kicking in and my masculinity coming out. But anxiety really affected me and how to navigate it. And a lot of people, I see anxiety in children so much more now than I ever did when I first started teaching. Has anxiety ever affected you in your life, and what did it look like, and how did you navigate now? Or do you still, is anxiety still part of your life now? What a powerful start to this conversation with Bec Cameron. Today we explored the deeper meaning of confidence, the importance of women's hormonal health, and how sleep, movement, nutrition, and self-awareness all work together to create a healthier, stronger life. Bec shared so openly about what it means to support women in a way that is sustainable, empowering, and real. Part 2, that's going to drop Wednesday. We go even deeper. You'll hear more about Bec's personal journey through bodybuilding, discipline, identity, stress, anxiety, nutrition, body image, and the life experiences that help shape the woman she is today. If this episode spoke to you though, please press follow on this platform. Leave a 5-star review and share it with somebody you care about. It really helps the show reach more people, and your share or review might be exactly what helps this conversation reach someone who truly needs it. We'll see you then for part 2. Enjoy. Join us tomorrow to hear more from today's incredible guests and learn valuable insights to help you lead your own way. Don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you then.